critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means, and one could argue that sometimes it's used too liberally. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
Good morning. I am Chloe Cole, patient advocate for Do No Harm, a group that seeks accountability in the medical profession. I am presenting proposal number 7 titled Report on Gender Transitioning Compensation and Benefits, sponsored by National Legal and Policy Center. Disney pays for gender transition interventions, but not detransitioning care. Therefore, the company discriminates based on gender identity under EEOC regulations. I speak from personal experience as someone who was deceived and physically harmed at a young age by gender ideology, validated by the medical industry and pushed to the masses by corporations like Disney. Influenced by modern media and social networks, I began a transition to male at age 12. By age 16, after practitioners I trusted encouraged me to take puberty blockers and get a double mastectomy, I tried to come back to reality, but it was too late. My body has been irreversibly damaged, and years later, my chest is still in bandages. My doctors have abandoned me. You doctors look and shrug. As a result, I am suing those professionals who steered me into taking these destructive steps that have permanently scarred me. But Disney, in its arrogance, has responded to our proposal by stating that I am only trying to generate attention for a limited agenda. Mr. Iger, Disney, under your watch, is pushing the limited agenda of gender ideology. Disney has become the Ursula that is stealing the voices of thousands of little Ariels across the world by telling us that we can be something that we can never become. The lawsuits are coming, sir. It's only a matter of time before current or past employees whose bodies and lives have been irreversibly harmed will show up at your door looking for justice and restitution. Please vote for proposal number 7.
Nerderotic.com.
Hey, apparently, we don't know the meaning of the word woke, everyone. And
really?
Yeah, it's like we've never heard this argument before, but man, this is the final word because it comes from a 73-year-old former weatherman who just figured out gaming is popular with kids about a month ago.
Thanks, Baba.
He seems
Bob.
like the authority.
The authority, absolutely.
Totally.
Remember in New York when he was
Gay.
well, I mean, there's that.
It's New York.
No, when he was asked unironically, I forgot, it was like a New York Times thing. We all got video out of it. It's when he said that there wasn't enough supervision for the POC director. So he was asked unironically, like about woke. Like somebody brought it up, and it wasn't a joke, and he responded to it, and that's where he responded saying, "Hey, we don't want to be political, but I don't see certain things as political. I see it as right and wrong. I am the Martin Luther King of grooming children."
Oh, jeez. That's the problem is I pulled up in my video I did today, I brought up those National Review articles that have the same fucking headline 2 years apart. Bob Iger plans to quiet the noise in the culture war. A year later, Bob Iger says he's working to quiet the noise in the culture war. And now, right as the shareholders meeting was going on, Bob Iger says that they're prioritizing entertainment over agenda. 2 hours before the fucking Silver Surfer announcement.
I know.
So he continues to say these things like, we're not concerned with political ideology. That's not us. We're just concerned with storytelling. But if we can, help acceptance and things like that along the way, then that's good. Bob Iger has said multiple times that he feels like some of the more radical shit they're doing in terms of gender affirmation, like all this stuff, he thinks it's just as important as opposing the Nazis in World War II, as supporting the civil rights movement in the 60s. Like, he is on record saying that multiple times. So when he says that we're not concerned with political ideology, he thinks that shit's not political or there's no agenda there. And it's just lie after lie from this dude.
Yeah. And then Chloe Cole rolls in and fucking destroys him.
That was awesome.
That was
awesome.
It shows how much of an indictment it is on his legacy. Like, obviously, this stuff is in his head now. And this is the second proxy fight. There might be another one. I'm not sure. I doubt it'll succeed either. But the fact that he's been fighting to justify his existence there with a bunch of yes men around him and women who don't give a crap. This guy has overseen the destruction of two of the biggest IPs the world has ever seen, and neither of whom he created and had any part in the creation. He bought. One was questionably not at its peak, but Marvel was. Marvel was absolutely at its peak when they bought it. And they officially took it over. I think it was after the Avengers, because Avengers is still a Paramount film. Kevin Feige officially took it over, booting Ike Perlmutter at Civil War, and it's been downhill ever since. And people voted to keep this guy's job. And it's like, fine. I'm fine. I'm glad he got everything he wants. In an interview with at Disney HQ, which I'm sure was really authentic, the CEO addressed Elon Musk's repeated complaints about Disney going woke. It's not just Elon Musk, but also said that his company cares more about entertainment than making content with a message.
That's a bunch of horse shit.
Really? Bob Iger has a message for those criticizing Disney for being too woke. The Disney CEO sat for an interview at Disney HQ on Thursday and directly addressed high-profile critics, including Elon Musk and Nelson Peltz, about the direction in which he's steering the entertainment behemoth.
I like how you added the behemoth.
The behemoth. Behemoth. I went a little Alabama there just because we missed Jeremy. Sorry. It's a behemoth. In the interview with CNBC reporter David Faber, Iger maintained that Disney is not primarily concerned with infusing messaging into its programming and that it remains an entertainment-first company.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have fooled a lot of people.
I mean, that's what the business is now, and that's why there's YouTubers. That's why there's Little Platoon and Ryan and everybody here, because they just come out and fucking lie. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all staged. It's all bullshit. For those of you who listen to the call, Chris and I had to bow out because it was an automated question and answer, and the voice asking the question sounded automated, sounded fucking AI.
Straight up AI.
Yeah, it was.
So they vetted all those questions.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
someone read them, said this is an okay thing to ask Iger, and then he was more robotic than the robotic voice.
Yes.
I'm sure that was all pre-recorded too.
Yes, 100%.
It is. And his victory speech was probably written 2 or 3 days prior to the vote. And yes, they are the ones who leaked out the information. Nothing will happen to him, but it is against the rules. But you know, these did you see their fucking ads? They were like the worst political ads against Nelson Peltz. Not that he was going to win, but then he read his answers. So a robot asked a question, and then he read his prepared answer. Thankfully, those 2 calls in the beginning came in and just roasted the shit out of them.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Great. Can't wait to work with Bob Iger and hang on, sorry. Musk had driven it upon himself to wage a war against Iger's vision of Disney. The ex-CEO, who repeatedly called out Iger and Disney for being too woke, posting on April Fool's Day that he was joining the company as the chief DEI officer. Barely beating out Ryan Kindle, by the way. Can't wait to work with Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy to make their content more woke, the mogul wrote. Even the linguini. This apparently was Musk's attempt at a funny joke.
Oh, it was
so
funny.
like the person that's writing this doesn't even know the South Park thing.
No.
Right? So they have no understanding or reference. That's why they're like clueless to it. And even by putting that sentence in parentheses, you have revealed the type of article that this is, and that no one should take you fucking seriously.
Yep.
I slightly prefer it though, because quite often what you'll get is in outlets like Vanity Fair, you will get them taking very obvious jokes as though they're literally true, which is, I think, worse. Like it's like say like Donald Trump will say something which is obviously supposed to be funny. I'm going to be a dictator on day one. And then the entirety of the media ecosystem says, oh my God, Donald Trump is literally telling us he's going to be a dictator. It's like, fucking no, he's quite clearly telling a joke. So at least they recognize that this is supposed to be funny. That's a step up.
It is, but maybe they're forced to because it was April Fool's Day. I'm just thinking. And then at the last line, the last paragraph of the article is basically saying mainstream media, Twitter, speculating that it's or just complaining that it's difficult to tell a joke from reality in today's world. It's like, yeah, whose fucking fault is that? Iger certainly wasn't laughing. I ignore it, Iger told Faber of Musk's pestering. There's no relevance to the Walt Disney Company or to me. Actually, it's entirely relevant.
Wow.
And relevant.
And relevant.
I've
been kicked out of 3 high schools. Fuck you.
That's the same thing. That's the same thing he said to investment behemoth Trian when Nelson Peltz was being critical. That's the same type of thing that Bob. I ignore it. I don't worry about it. It's just a distraction.
Yeah,
they spent a lot of money fending off that distraction.
70 million? Is that true? Or is
I don't know.
That's what I heard. But I mean, well, obviously it was on Twitter, so it was true.
Obviously.
While he's not concerned with Musk's comedic stylings, Iger did indirectly address Musk's notion that Disney has been going woke, promising that the company's focus on entertainment rather than moralization. Infusing messaging as the sort of number one priority in our films and TV shows is not what we're up to. They need to be entertaining. And look where the Disney company can have a positive impact on the world, which is probably trying to entertain people, which you are incapable of right now. Whether it's fostering acceptance and understanding of people of all different types, except for those who don't believe exactly as we do, great. But generally speaking, we need to be an entertainment-first company, and I've worked really hard to do that.
How's the box office returns?
Yeah, not good.
I mean, that would say everything to me, just looking at those. One movie last year made a profit. All the others made a huge loss.
So what I will say, even though this is bullshit, but to defend him, is that like those movies were already in production, basically set for release, like established by the time he came back as CEO. However, he was still on the fucking board. You know what I mean? He still had a lot of
chairman of the
power
board
at Disney that entire time. So.
And he
was in charge of market. Like he would have been the top guy for when they were marketing the film. So yeah, still on him.
He was the one pushing for D+ to start earlier. He was the one who greenlit most of that, not all, but the vast majority of it. He greenlit it because it was in production and going into production, including like just during his reign. He was only technically gone for 11 months.
Well, and we're still seeing shitty sequels after shitty remakes after live action versions of their animated movies. It's still coming out. Moana is coming out 2025. Toy Story 5 is coming out 2026. Like the bullshit is still coming down. You haven't stopped anything.
In that Vanity Fair article, in that last paragraph you had, just to mention it, it said Disney reportedly spent $40 million on their counter campaign.
$40 million.
So that's from them.
It's a little off from 70. Yeah.
Who knows what the real number is? But
who does Iger think he's fooling with that article?
Oh, he's fooling a lot of investors, and shareholders who don't pay attention. He's
low information people, essentially.
He is succeeding. He is a very effective liar.
Gaslighter.
Yeah. There is a reason that you have to spend $40 million essentially on internal propaganda to try and persuade your own shareholders that you're the right person to stick to. I mean, they almost outspent, I think, by 2-1 the rival bid for people's affections. Like, I'm not that familiar with the way that these sort of corporate processes work, but I'm guessing you don't spend $40 million if you think you're very secure in your position. Just because, why would you?
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.